Welcome to Tentative Title with Tim. This is a podcast about creativity, about process, about filmmaking, and about screenwriting. Welcome everybody back to the podcast. I hope everybody out there is doing well, no matter where you might be in the world at this very moment. But we are together with, through the power of the podcast or power of technology, the power of the modern age. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Although it is, I guess, kind of part of it because there has been a change in form in terms of how we get our stories, our entertainment, our shows, just the entire format has been blown open over the past 10 years, maybe even earlier, but at least the last 10 years, there has been such an opening up of the way in which we're able to tell stories, and that's really exciting, and also, on the one hand, kind of frightening, because, you can make something that is at any runtime that you want, and it's still acceptable because most likely it will end up on a streaming site, and so you don't have to adhere to any broadcast standards. You don't have to keep episodes to 22 minutes or to 50 to 54 minutes. So yeah, the format has kind of been opened up, and what brings me to this topic is actually the limited series. And at first, I was kind of not sure about the limited series, if that makes any sense. Mostly because of the fact that I wanted to, I like shows that have a lot of story to tell. I'm used to broadcast. I'm used to multiple seasons of a show. And so the idea of a limited series, I was like, well, that's, once it's done, it's done. Like, you can't, like, they're not going to make any more of these. And so if I really like it, then I'm going to be very disappointed because I know that this is all that there's going to be. But I've come around to it because it is kind of a middle ground. Like, a movie obviously is 2 to 3 hours, possibly, maybe even 4 hours. A show can run on for many, many seasons and possibly become this bloated story that should have ended, like on season 4 or 5, and now it's on season 10. So the limited series is that middle ground. Like, that there's going to be a complete story being told, or at least most of it. Like, the story may still have questions, they may still have things hanging on, but in terms of the actual, like, the primary story that they're trying to tell, mostly everything is going to be wrapped up. And that's actually really exciting because it gives you the length of a series. Like, depending on how long your limited series is, it could be like 7 episodes, it could be 10 episodes. That's 7 hours, that's 10 hours of a story that you have to tell this story, to tell the entire story. And that's very exciting. And then when it's all done, it's done. The story is done. And so, if anything, like, a movie can be too constrained because you only have a couple hours, maybe you have 3 hours to tell a story, and then you have the season, the broadcast where you have multiple seasons, and that may be too much time to tell your story. And so, like I said, I'm coming around to it. I'm really liking that format, and for me as a creator, as somebody who wants to be writing movies, this actually is a great middle ground to kind of dip my toe into attempting to write for television, attempting to write something that is more long form. Because I gotta be honest, television intimidates the heck out of me. Like, I'm like, oh, how many episodes of this show are there? It's like, if it's broadcast, it's like 22 episodes. And yeah, that is kind of, been over the years, it's less. But still, like, if I get a job writing for broadcast television for a show, it's going to be 22 episodes because that's what a season is supposed to be. And that's a lot of content. That's a lot of story to tell. And I'm like, I sometimes have barely enough to get through a script for a feature film. And, not to say that there isn't more story to tell after I'm done, or that, there are things that are unexamined that I could dig into later on. But just getting through a feature script sometimes is a slog. And even if I love the story, it can still be a slog. And so to expand that into even more scripts, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just intimidating. It's scary. But watching a couple like limited series, like I watched The Queen's Gambit. Tonight I finished a Midnight Mass, and like both of them were very well done. The writing was very tight. It was compelling. It wrapped up really nicely, and so I have a bit more courage knowing that these two shows were able to accomplish a very complex story in a very short amount of time. I think both of them were 7 hour-long episodes, and so that's 7 hours of a story. And that they were able to tell that story, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself after watching these two shows, and I'm like, there's no reason why I can't do this same thing. And being afraid to do it is not an excuse. All I have to do is find a story that I think can be told over that amount of time. And, I guess that really comes down to the reason why I haven't, is because I haven't found that story. I haven't found a subject that allows for me to expand upon it, to have it be a limited series. And I hope I do. I hope that I'm not only writing feature films or short films, but that I can expand my repertoire, so to speak, into writing for limited series, because I think there's a big future in limited series as well, especially on the streaming side. Like, streamers are going to be looking for content nonstop because they want to have people sign up for their service. And so the more that they're able to create more content, the more they're able to advertise, the more they're able to bring people in to be subscribers and to keep people who are subscribed. And I don't see this format going away, and it's part of this whole idea that I was talking about before, is that since the story doesn't have to be confined, it can be, you can pitch a 5 episode or a 10 episode like limited series, and it's still going to be it's still going to be relevant. It's still going to work within that format because it's for streaming. So how do you guys feel about this? Because I'm really excited about it. Like I said before, I was kind of nervous and scared about it, because seeing how the industry is going, seeing how everybody is going to television, like this is supposed to be like the golden age of the second golden age of of television, or maybe we're still in the first one. I'm not sure, but the television is where it's at in terms of storytelling, because there's just a lot of great like television coming out, and it allows for a story to unfold. It allows for characters to develop. It allows for a lot more a lot more interesting things to happen sometimes because of the fact you have so much time in which to tell the story. But like I said before, it was just intimidating because I was like, I don't know if I can jump over into television because it's so much more. Like, writing a feature is a lot, but writing for television is just like, 10 times that. So I was like, I don't know, but this is giving me some hope. This is giving me a chance to try it, and I will be on the lookout for a story that I can turn into a limited series, and I hope that it's something that I could like sell to a streamer, or if they allowed me to to direct it myself, that would be really awesome if they gave me a budget and they were like, yeah, go off and make your limited series, just go do it, and that would be amazing. But I can't do that unless I have a story. I can't do that unless I have scripts written, at least a good concept of what story it is I'm trying to tell. And, who knows? But, obviously not every story is going to be fit for a limited series. Because like I said, a limited series in a way is more like film. It's more like a movie because it is dealing with one subject. It's just you're given a lot more time to tell that story. You have like a bunch of characters that you're able to kind of like tell their story, but you don't deviate from that. You don't go to like, okay, now let's have let's talk about these other characters over here. It's like it's usually very confined, just like a film, and obviously there are side characters and maybe there are certain things that happen where, but you don't deviate from your core characters, just like you would in a movie or just like you would in it's like I said, it's like television too. I'm just I'm digging a hole here, but basically it's like looking at the fact that like there's a very concise story that's being told that you don't deviate from, reminds me of a film, but also like you can deviate a little bit, which you can do in television. So that reminds me a little bit of television. So anyway, it's the perfect middle ground for telling a story, and I encourage anybody out there who has been, maybe you're a feature writer and you're thinking about doing television. I encourage you to try writing a limited series. Like, I really do. I think that is kind of like the gateway to television. If you're able to write a limited series, then you're kind of preparing yourself to write in television. And who knows, maybe just stick with like limited series. Maybe that's enough of a expansion of writing for feature films to just stick with limited series, and that's enough of it being like television. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. I appreciate each one of you who has been listening. I'm just trying to do my best with these and trying to find things that I think are interesting. And also like, share, subscribe, do all those things to whichever platform you're on, whichever one you're listening to. If they allow you to give like a rating or something, like put a rating down, put a comment, put something so that the algorithm will know that people are listening to this and will start to bump it up the list, because that's the point of this whole thing, is just to get it out there, get it so that other people discover the podcast, and we can create a community around just around our love of film and of making film and of learning things and of having conversation about what things work and what things don't work, in terms of like being an audience member and watching all the stuff that's out there, but as well as what stuff works and doesn't work in creating this stuff. Because like we're creating things for people to watch and to experience and to, then I don't want to say to consume, because we don't, like, I don't think we want that. We want people to remember the things that we make, and hopefully what we make is going to stand the test of time and is going to be there 20, 30, like 50 years from now. People will come back to it and want to revisit and want to, I guess, analyze it, or, just like that'll be something that will stick around. Like, I hope that's the point every single time we sit down to make something, is that we're not just making it so that it can be thrown up on some streaming site and then forgotten. Like I hope we make things that like stick around, that are timeless, that speak about the human condition, and not about the human condition of today, but the human condition of of the future, and of the past, and just of just being a human being. Like that's what stories are supposed to do. They're supposed to help us, understand the world that we live in, and not necessarily be to push some kind of like agenda, or push some kind of, like ideology that seems to fit the current day. Like that shouldn't be the reason why we make stuff. It should be because of the fact that we love stories, and we want to talk about our human experience through the characters that we make, because it's a human experience, and everybody feels these same things in their lives at one point or another. Like that's just that's my hope. That's why I make stuff. I want people to enjoy it. I want people to have a better life, I guess you could say, or just have to just be uplifted in one way or another. Even if the story that I make is somewhat depressing, that they kind of look at their at life and say, yeah, I'm not alone. I'm like, these characters are experiencing something that I experienced myself, and yeah, I'm not alone in this, and it may or may not change, but at least I know that, like, I'm what I'm feeling is not uncommon, So all right, guys, I'm talking over my time, I guess you could say, but yeah, I like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you on the next one. And also, if you want to connect with me, I have a email for the podcast. It's tentative.title.with.tim.podcast@gmail.com. Also, I have a Twitter account for the podcast where I post episodes, and that is @title_Tim. And you can find also on the Facebook page, I have a page for the podcast, so you can connect with me there. Looking forward to hearing from all of you, and until then, I'll catch you on the next one.